Alright, let's talk about Hotel Artemis, which came out last week, but I didn't get a chance to see it until now. And this is one that kind of went under the radar for me. I knew it was coming out. And I like to typically see most movies that come out of the theaters. And this one, I just waited too long, like a week after, to see it. And I'm glad it's still here because I feel like this is one of those movies that is going to go out of the theater quick. And I really thought that this movie, in terms of being under the radar and in terms of nobody talking about it, this movie was genuinely fun and awesome. I really enjoyed this movie. The way this movie, in terms of being a fun, like, throwback to, like, an old style, like, crime thriller, I thought, like, a fun one, this actually really sold me. Like, this one genuinely, I felt with all the actors involved, with how the movie is filmed, how it's shot, it felt like an older type of movie like this, and I thought that these characters are all fun and all interesting. And it's not one of those movies that's like, you know, a great movie, but it's really entertaining, it's really fun. All of these characters I thought were genuinely likable. And I thought the story was good, and I thought the pacing was good. Like, it felt like this movie didn't last long, but in a good way. And it was overall entertaining. I thought all of the actors involved were really good. Like, Jodie Foster plays this nurse character who runs the Hotel Artemis, which is a hotel for people who have dealt with crime. And she is genuinely good in this movie. Like, she has a lot of like she's this, I don't want to say old lady because that's insulting to her, but she's this snarky older person who has been working at this hotel for 22 years, and she has some thing about her past that goes into this movie, and it actually builds on it, and it does a good job whenever you realize like her past in this movie. Like, it is genuinely like really good. This character has more depth than what you think when it starts out, even though she's really likable immediately and has a great charisma and great jokes. But she has like this plot that, like, to the end of the movie, it really is good with her. I really enjoyed Jodie Foster in this. I thought she was awesome. She just really sold me in this movie. And then the humor in this movie is great, especially with her and with everybody else. All this humor works for everybody. But Jodie Foster was, I think, one of the funniest ones. And then we've got Sofia Boutella, who is, I've only seen her in, like, I think The Mummy is the only thing I've seen her in. No, she's in something else, and I can't remember. It was Atomic Blonde, wasn't it? I think it was Atomic Blonde that she was in, too. But I've seen her in one or two things. And she's never, like, she's good. Like, she's fine in those movies, but she never wowed me. And this movie, she wowed me. I thought that she had a little more, like, stuff to work on in this movie as opposed to The Mummy or Atomic Blonde, even though she was fine in those. The Mummy is not something she uses. She had dialogue in, and Atomic Blonde she's barely in. But I liked how in this one she was in this as much as all the other people in this movie, and I thought that she actually, like, she was a really fine actress in this movie. Like, she actually worked for me, and I didn't expect that, and I haven't seen her in other movies to know that she's a pretty fine actress. Like, I thought she was actually really good in this movie, and she, like, in Kingsman, which is another movie she's in, like, in the first Kingsman, she is badass in this movie too, and she's got a cool way of using her weapons like she does in Kingsman. Not like robotic legs or anything, but she's just a badass the way she fights in this movie, like in Kingsman. And I really liked her. And then we got, like, Dave Bautista, who is in this movie as well, who is the bodyguard for Jodie Foster's character, and he's really funny. He's just the one who kind of is there to help her out, but then he questions, like, what to do, because this movie is set during a riot, and the Hotel Artemis is the only safe place basically where they're at. And I thought that it was cool just having him kind of question that, and he's got to fight off, like, he's the big muscular dude, he's got to go fight everybody off, which, like, Sofia Boutella, they both are really badass in how they fight and how they are in this movie. Like, they're just cool characters, they're really fun. And we get Charlie Day, who I enjoy Charlie Day in a lot of stuff, but he is awesome in this movie. But his character, like, you shouldn't like this character. Like, he's like a presumed rapist and like killer. Like, he's insane in this movie, but he is so likable in his performance, and how he's great in this movie. Like, he genuinely made me laugh. He didn't scare me, but he made me kind of go, oh, okay, he's pretty intimidating a little bit. But he really was awesome in this movie as well, and I really enjoyed him. And then you've got the thing with Sterling K. Brown, who, at the beginning of the movie, him and his brother, they are robbing something, and they are taken to the Hotel Artemis. So I think his character is the most boring, and it's not an insult to like the actor, but I think his character is the most boring because it's not, like, he gets a little bit more as the movie goes along, but at the beginning it's like, oh, okay, he's just here during this riot, he has to get it, he gets in Hotel Artemis, he's got to help his brother out, but I felt like out of all the characters, he didn't have as much to chew on in terms of the writing, or in terms of how they told them to act. I mean, he was fine, but he wasn't like Charlie Day, like how insane he was, and fun. Like, it just, a lot of these actors really sold it, and that's why this movie is memorable for me, because these characters and these actors really all are great in this movie. Like Jodie Foster, Dave Bautista, Charlie Day, Sofia Boutella, they all really just give off, they're all unique characters in the movie, where they all seem like they're different. They don't blend into the same thing. And I liked how they were really fun characters overall. They all just were really interesting. And this movie just, it's a fun, silly time, and it's not trying to be anything serious, and I think that made it entertaining and memorable, because it was trying to be just really silly, really fun. The humor's great. The humor surprised me. I didn't think it would be that humorous, and the humor worked for me through most of the movie, so that was a great surprise, because usually, if it looks like a serious movie like I thought this was going to be, and it's got humor, it's probably not going to be as great, but I mean, there's some that are, but for the most part, I noticed that usually happens where it's trying to be super serious and it's got a joke in it and it ruins the tone. But I thought the tone in this was so interesting in how these characters were, and I really enjoyed all these characters. And I also forgot to mention Jeff Goldblum. It just popped in my head, like, Jeff Goldblum's in this movie too. Like always, he sells it. He's such a great actor. He's so hilarious. He fits with all of these wacky characters. Like, this movie is so wacky in a great way. Like, this is just a seriously fun time. I'm so glad I watched this before we went to the theater, because I'm assuming this is not going to last long, especially in this day and age. Especially for a movie that I did not see marketed much at all. This is not going to last. So I really enjoyed this movie. Go out and see this if you want to support movies like this. And this is still a Hollywood movie, but it's not going to last long like most blockbusters. So I really enjoyed this. I'm glad I went and saw it in theater. So this was really an awesome surprise.